week of the high school football season is upon us here across the tri-state area. Thank you all for joining me. My name is Taylor Kennedy, and this is the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. Week 10 of the high school football season is upon us here, and we are underway with another great show. Coming up in our next segment, we're going to be joined by the head football coach of the University of Charleston Golden Eagles, head coach Quinn Sanders. UC is off to a fantastic start, 7-0 on the season with a date with the West Liberty Hilltoppers this weekend. So we'll talk with Coach Sanders about his team, and we will briefly discuss with him one of the nation's top running backs in Chavon Wright. So we'll do that coming up in our second segment. Then in our final segment, I will give you guys my picks for the college and high school football slate, and we will also go over the Week 9 stats leaders under our HD Media umbrella. Speaking of HD Media and what we do here, we've been doing a Player of the Week from Week 1 until now. We're going to continue doing that. And the Week 9 HD Media Player of the Week is going to none other than Herbert Hoover's Dane Hatfield. Hatfield had 434 total yards of offense and 6 touchdowns as the top 5 seeded Herbert Hoover Huskies upended top 10 opponent Elkins at home up on the river last Friday night. So congratulations to Dane. While doing so against the Tigers, he also became the school's all-time rush yards leader, and he has now added that to his business card with a lot of other records that he has broken in his tenure for Coach Joey Fields at Herbert Hoover High School. Again, coming up on our next segment, we're going to be joined by the head football coach of the University of Charleston Golden Eagles, head coach Quinn Sanders. You won't want to miss it here on the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook.
From middle school, I remember having a conversation with my sister and telling her that I wanted to be a counselor.
The passion's always there to help someone who's vulnerable and help someone who needs a little guidance along the way.
I try to find things in common with them. A lot of times for me, it can be anything from not dressing up to just, like I said, meeting them where they're at. Literally, that's our motto. We meet you where you are.
My energy is just, I try to make it feel so welcoming.
I think the big thing with me is it's always what's in the best interest of the client.
I try to be very open-minded.
This is whatever you need, I'm here to help you with.
Welcome back into this week's edition of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. We are pleased to be joined this week by the head football coach of the University of Charleston Golden Eagles, head coach Quinn Sanders. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
My man, you guys are off to an undefeated start this season. A lot of momentum to this point. What have you liked about this year's team?
Just the ability, the continuity, the ability to persevere. Last year you start out 6-0, you lose a close one. We've had a couple close games. We came back, beat a really good Cal PA team. That we were down late by 2 scores, ended up scoring 9 in the fourth quarter to take that one over. Pembroke on homecoming jumped up 14-0 on us, and we ended up beating them by 3 scores. So it's good to, have the ability to persevere when you have those kind of moments.
Talk about that then. So whenever you guys do fall behind, you guys are able to rally, you guys are able to pick up the W. What does that tell you about your team, if anything?
They're mature, and that's the thing. Early on, the first year, those are the kind of games we lose. Last year, we started to find a way to give ourselves a chance to win those games. And this year, we're getting on the right side. I mean, that's the biggest thing for us is just having that mental, maturity of understanding, hey, next play, not letting, any of the bad plays that led to that kind of sit with us too long.
What's the biggest difference from last year's team with this year's team?
Just the maturity. I mean, it really is. I think, we did an incredible job last year, along with this year being a family, having the ownership within the program. But it's the maturity of it all, where we, a lot of these guys that have been playing for me, they started with me in year 1. So now we're 3 years into it. So you can just kind of see the maturity's growing even in every room and all over the team.
Are you starting to see the foundation that you guys laid as a staff and as a head coach, what you guys laid 3 years ago, starting to come into fruition of what you guys are wanting this program to be?
Yes, sir. And this is what we talked about. 3 years ago, you go 6-5, and you're telling the team, hey, we're going to be there. We're going to end up being at the top of the mountain. We're going to build this program into a like a dynasty, like you want to. And I think everybody else around didn't believe it, but these guys bought in. The coaching staff bought in, and here we are. So it's special to see the work and kind of see the proof in the pudding.
What do you think? How do you think you've changed? I mean, from a coach that started here 3 years ago to where we are now in 2024, how are you different?
I've grown up a lot. I've matured. The job, you kind of grow into the job. My first year, when you're a when you spend your life as a position coach and a coordinator, you kind of get stuck in the X's and O's, and that's kind of what you live by. Once you become a head coach, there's so much more. You know, so many more hats, whether you're being a psychologist, you're a bookkeeper, an accountant, doing these interviews like this, you know, so all those little fun things, you kind of got to grow. And, you know, you hope that you're getting better from year to year and you're not staying the same.
In regards to the offense this year, you guys have had a really potent offense at this point. You guys really had a good offense last year, but you guys returned a lot of valuable pieces offensively. What's worked well and how have they gelled this year?
Well, you know, we didn't, you know, the biggest thing is, you know, we lost some really good players. You know, we lost our offensive coordinator last year, lost an all-world guard, lost an all-American receiver. But we were able just to pick up right where we left off. You know, we were able to sign some really good players in the offseason that came in and have stepped up for us. Our players from last year have also stepped up and gotten better. So it's a really special thing just to kind of see there really hasn't been a setback when a lot of people, I think they thought there could have been. And, you know, we're doing such an efficient job on offense. You know, we're completing over 50% of our third downs. We're scoring at such a high rate right now just in terms of possession. So we're doing an incredible job. It's really helping our defense out.
Chavon Wright, let's talk about him for a couple of minutes. Obviously, he's one of the nation's top rushers. What's impressed you about his game? I mean, obviously, you got him 3 years ago. He's been able to grow. What have you liked about his game to this point?
I'll be honest with you. This is, you know, everybody can see it. You know, from his first year, he's a 1,000-yard rusher. Last year, he's a 1,500-yard, 20-touchdown guy. He's in better shape than he's ever been. You know, and you're starting to see, you know, last year, you know, 25, 30 carries. Now we're getting him up to that 35 carry, and he's not breaking stride. He doesn't look gassed. You know, early on in his career, he was young. There'd be at times where he didn't get a little gassed, but now, you know, he understands he's the bell cow. He can take a bunch of carries. You know, we're fortunate we do have a really good, you know, backup tailbacks behind him that can take some pressure off him. And our quarterback's got some good legs that can too. But he's just such a special player, just the way he put the work in the offseason and put himself in position to get to the season.
Having a guy like him in your program that they've been able to be so efficient, what has he meant to not only you as a head coach, but to the University of Charleston football program? Well, you know, I'm right now, you know, parlaying with Dr. Roth and Dr. Stevens to get the statue built from outside the stadium. I mean, he's done everything the right way. You know, and he's one of those kids where, you know, you've got some kids that are very talented players, but they're buttheads. And, you know, you don't always wish for their success. You wish for the team's success. For him, it's everything you want. The players, they understand, they love him. When he talks, they listen. And he's just done such an incredible job of leading. And, you know, he's really the engine, and, you know, really, I wouldn't say necessarily the heartbeat, but the engine that makes us go on offense. Defensively for you guys have been able to put up some really good numbers defensively. Who have been a few guys for you on the defensive side of the ball that have really impressed you? You know, first and foremost, I think our defensive leader over there does a really good job is Willie Floyd. We call him Taddy. He's another guy that actually grew up with Chavon, so they've known each other forever. He does an incredible job. You know, we've got another guy, Rashad Morris, our free safety. He's doing an incredible job. You know, we play a lot of single eye, two high, all that fun stuff. He makes things right for us. Kashawn Beasley, our weak side safety, is doing an incredible job. You know, we've got some young corners out there that have really picked it up, and our D-line is playing really, really well. You know, we lost the Defensive Player of the Year last year, and then for us to come back and actually be better on defense than we were last year is really something special. You guys got West Liberty this week, the Hilltoppers. What do you see from them this season? You know, Coach Wiley always does a great job. You know, he's a great offensive coach. You know, and then Coach Monterosa does a great job on defense. You know, they're going to mix it up. Offensively, they're trying to stay balanced between the run and the pass. Defensively, they're going to bring pressure, play some quarters. You know, they've got a very active D-line. Their secondary does a good job with looking up routes. So it's going to be a fun matchup. We just got to play University of Charleston football. What do you want to see differently from your guys in these final 3 games of the regular season that you might not have seen those first 7? Keep cleaning up the mistakes. I mean, we still have too many penalties. We turned the ball over twice last week. That's too many. It's just the little things. And, you know, not getting complacent, continually finding ways to get better each and every day that we get out here. I think sometimes with success comes complacency and also ego. So as long as we can stay out of the complacency and the players all don't start developing, you know, egos about it's all about me, and we stay on the course about it's all about the team, we should be in a great place. The experience you guys were able to garner last year, you guys were able to host a couple of nationally tournament games here at University of Charleston Field. I'm at University of Charleston Stadium at Lately Field, but to be able to get that experience last year, how beneficial was that for you guys in regards to building this team this year? Oh, it's huge. You know, it's always the first time is the biggest difference, always the hardest, right? So you get it the first time. There's things that we weren't used to. You know, we made the playoffs back in 2015. I was so young then, hardly could remember what we did. But, you know, the roster getting cut to 58. You know, little things like that, understanding all the little nuances that are going to go on. That, you know, we were kind of just taking it day by day, step by step. This year we got a plan for it. You know, we kind of understand how it goes, what we're going to get ourselves into. So we've already, I'm not going to say started playing. We're not counting our ducks or anything before they've hatched. But we do understand, you know, what we're getting ourselves into. So it's not going to catch us off guard, I would say, like it did last year. It's something that, you know, we do understand the ramifications of what we're doing now. For you all to continue the success that you guys are and potentially host another home playoff game, what needs to happen? I mean, obviously some cards needs to be aligned for you guys for that to happen, but from your perspective, from an on-the-field perspective, what needs to occur?
Stay with the 1-0 mentality. I think last year, I don't like talking about last year with this team too much because that was last year's team. I think we got ahead of ourselves. We started looking to the playoffs, and we ended up dropping one to Fairmont this year. The only thing we're worried about is playing West Liberty this weekend. After that, we'll take care of whoever we got after that and whoever we got after that. It's just staying in the now, living in the 1-0 mindset, and letting if we keep winning, the rest will take care of itself, and not getting ahead of ourselves, I think, is the biggest thing for us.
Talk about the conference this year. It seems like it's gotten a lot stronger just from top to bottom, but what have you seen from the MEC this year?
Oh, it's tough. You've got a bunch of teams that are all bunched in there. Every single week, we come out here and it's a game, no matter who we're playing. And then, you got all these teams. They're all in there bunched in together because every single one of them is a good team. They all have their perks. They've got great staffs. They've got great players, a combination of both, great schematics. So they all prepare well. I respect all the coaches here. I respect all the players in this league. It's just making sure that we're doing what we got to do to be prepared for all these teams. You don't want to get, I'm not going to say caught off guard, because we're going to take every team seriously because we know this is a very good league with a bunch of good teams.
Let's talk about collegiate athletes in totality for just a quick second. With this new world of name, image, and likeness in this transfer portal, how do you think you and your staff have handled this new era of college athletics in these last 3 years?
I think the biggest thing for us is, we believe in our guys. And you see a lot of guys that go out there, they're trying to replace the roster every year. They're trying to figure out, hey, can I bring in XYZ 4-star, 5-star? For us, it's always been building from within. All of our guys, even playing professionally, they're all homegrown kids. Chavon Wright's another homegrown kid. All the kids I've mentioned to you earlier are all homegrown kids. So it's really the roster continuity where I think you've got other guys that are looking to completely replace their team all the time. They're not happy, looking to flip it. But I believe in our players, and that's what we brought them here. So that's the biggest thing for us.
You mentioned just being able to retain players. What does that tell you about the culture that you guys have been able to build here at UC? It's
the most special thing, and that's the most important thing. To me, the football games are so vastly important because we're living in the now. But 20, 30 years from now, the football games aren't going to be as important as the camaraderie. And to say that, we're a family here, we care about each other, we love each other. And it also lets me know that the players understand that, we have their best interests at heart. We want to do everything we can for them, and they don't believe that the grass is greener. They understand what we're trying to get done, and all the love that we have from each and every one of them.
You talk about how you were a position coach when we first started this interview. How beneficial is that? I don't really ask coaches on the collegiate level or even coaches in general about that, but being a position coach, now transitioning into being a head coach, how beneficial is that to be a position coach and transition into being a head coach?
I think it was a really big thing for me because, spending time as a position coach, I was kind of able to figure out what kind of coach I was, how I wanted to be. Still coach the quarterbacks till this day. And luckily, I've coached them long enough now that I've learned enough tips and tricks where, my meetings don't have to be 2 hours long. I can get through in an hour just because I know what I'm doing. So, having that ability, it's like anything, starting at the bottom, working your way up. There's no other way to do it. I don't believe in any profession you can skip steps because there's things to learn every which way on every ring of the ladder.
And finally, you mentioned the homegrown kids. A lot of these kids on your roster are from West Virginia. Talk about the recruiting trail here in West Virginia. What is that like to be able to go out in the state, recruit in the state, and what do you see from the high school products in the state?
Oh, they're doing such an incredible job. These high school coaches, when I got into this league, probably 10 years ago, I don't know if the coaches, not knocking anybody, was doing as good of his job. Now these coaches do an incredible job. They've got players, the way that they're training them, 3 or 4 elites come into this thing, Appalachian, all that stuff, where these kids are prepared. Our starting quarterback now is from Gilmer County. We've got a bunch of West Virginia kids playing for us right now, and they're doing an incredible job for us. We just got to make sure that we keep getting them because we understand the value of the players. They're tough, they're hard working, they're going to do what they ask, yes sir, no sir, and you can't ask for anything more than that out of a player.
Well, Coach, good luck this weekend. Good luck the final 3 weeks of the regular season.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
That's head coach Quinn Sanders of the University of Charleston Golden Eagles. We'll be back right after this.
From middle school, I remember having a conversation with my sister and telling her that I wanted to be a counselor.
The passion's always there to help someone who's vulnerable and help someone who needs a little guidance along the way.
I try to find things in common with them. A lot of times for me, it can be anything from not dressing up to just, like I said, meeting them where they're at. Literally, that's our motto. We meet you where you are.
My energy is just, I try to make it feel so welcoming.
I think the big thing with me is it's always what's in the best interest of the client.
I try to be very open-minded.
This is whatever you need, I'm here to help you with.
Final segment rolling along here on the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. This podcast would not be possible without our two great sponsors, and Mountain Care Network is one of those sponsors. And Mountain Care Network was designed to increase accessibility to mental health services and decrease the stigma associated with mental health treatment in West Virginia. Check them out by going to their website, mountaincarenetwork.com. That's mountaincarenetwork.com. And the fine folks over at 5th Street Brewing. And 5th Street Brewing is one of the area's top establishments for local beer and great food. With over 12 beers on tap, you're sure to leave satisfied. Check them out by going to their website, 5thstreetbrewing.com, or check them out at their location at 180 Summer Street in Charleston. That's 180 Summer Street in Charleston. So, again, as I mentioned in the first segment, let's look back at the Week 9 stats leaders as we enter Week 10 of the high school football season under the HD Media umbrella.
We the best, no contest. My clique is the best. We the best. There ain't no one like cause of you dumb or you crazy. There's no way, G. Me and my clique, we handling biz while you and your clique just act fugazi. You couldn't persuade me to give a damn, this don't faze me. I got my Xbox, she can't play me. Money in a text box, I get paid. We the best. We the best, best. No contest. My clique is the best. We the best. We the best, best. No contest. My clique is the best. We the best, best. There ain't no rest. For the wicked I'm bad and I'm blessed. Put it to the test. For the rest there ain't no contest. So what's next? Got me leveling up, I'm obsessed. I bring the fire like I'm possessed. My personnel and my clique is the best. There ain't no contest. There ain't no one like cause of you dumb or you crazy. There's no way, G. Me and my clique, we handling biz while you and your clique just act fugazi. You couldn't persuade me.
And I will leave you all with this. Here are my picks for Week 10 of the high school football season and another loaded slate in college football this upcoming weekend. And we'll start in high school football as I have the Hurricane Redskins defeating the George Washington Patriots in Putnam County. I have Huntington defeating the Parkersburg Big Reds, St. Albans over the Riverside Warriors, the Mingo Central Miners over the Chapmanville Tigers, and the Scott Skyhawks defeating and picking up a much-needed road victory over the Winfield Generals in Putnam County Friday evening. So those are my high school picks. Then on the college football side, I have the Penn State Nittany Lions defeating the Ohio State Buckeyes in State College, Oregon over Michigan, Marshall over UL Monroe, NC State over Stanford, and Iowa State over Texas Tech. So that'll do it for this week's edition of the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook. Again, I'm your host, Taylor Kennedy. You can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7. Follow us on Twitter at Gaz Mail Sports. That's G-A-Z Mail Sports. And follow us on Facebook at HD Media Sports. And I will see you all next week. And again, special thanks to Quinn Sanders, the head football coach of the University of Charleston Golden Eagles. And I will see you all next week. This is the Kanawha Valley Sports Notebook.